Huh? Hey, I'm tryna win. I'm tryna win in the 716 and I'm making it big. I wanna live. I think I'm ready to.
Yo, what's good, man? This is the Easy Pinch Out Podcast with your one and only host, Glory Boy, back here with another special interview. I want to call this now, like, rather than interview, I want to call them special sit down. Yeah. Because it's a sit down where I'm sitting down with a few people, we're having a conversation.
It's rather really a chat. It's
right.
a chat.
It's a chat, like nice little chat, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here. Basically, it's a pleasure having you on my page, on my channel. You show a lot of support, a lot of love to me, and I really appreciate you.
Always.
So before we even begin, y'all go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and also don't forget to follow all the pages and so on. So we're going to go ahead and just let you introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are, what you do, and also any pages that they will have to follow you just to get to know you, and then we can start.
Absolutely. I'm Dotty Maley. I own Ohgoodie. I make custom goodie bags and gift baskets. And I also am a member of She Connects, which is a group of 4 women who are including all of the networking abilities and things around town in Buffalo to unite nonprofit, small business, and women in corporate America to work together and do some good for the community.
Wow, that's nice. And also, like, you mentioned all of that, but also in order for people to follow you and to see exactly what you're doing, where can they find you?
So we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Our handle is at Ohgoodiebags and at She Connects Hub.
Okay, nice. And I see goodie bags. You got me a little goodie bag.
Had to bring some love.
She oh my God. And she put the logo on. You guys see this. Easy Pinch Out Podcast.
You got to rep.
ESC, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And should I show them?
Of course, you got to unwrap it now. It's filled with some small business love from a lot of my friends and vendors that make this and represent Buffalo.
Wow. Thank you so much. And I like to show people because you guys follow the journey. So I want to include you guys. Oh, yeah. Don't look. All right. So we got some tie-dye
socks. Yep. And this is from my girl Lexi, fly-dye socks. Wow. Fly-dye socks.
Thank you, Lexi. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you, Lexi. Oh my gosh, Nike too. Yeah. What did Drake say?
Yeah.
What did Drake say? Only checks.
That's it.
All right. So the next one. I don't want to look.
It's like Christmas. I don't know what that is. Yep. Here's our She Connects cookie from Deb from My Pretend Bakery with our She Connects logo on it. We got to get you some of these too.
I've been eating a lot of sweets. But you know what? Since you're a souvenir, I'm going to eat you regardless.
Don't worry. You got not one, but 2.
I got 2. I got 2 of them. Thank you so much. All right. So let's see. We got so much stuff in here.
Some fun swag. Everybody likes to get fun swag. This is my girl Melissa, and you need to put this in your car. It is a golden hour diffuser. It smells amazing.
So you put it like in the car, like
yep, and it'll hang. Yep.
Okay, and then it just smells.
Keep it fresh, and she has like all natural, great products that you're gonna love.
Thank you so much. And her name is.
This is Melissa from My Buffalo Candle Company.
Melissa, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to put this in my car right now. I mean, not right now, but
not right now. We're going to wait.
After, we're going to wait.
And then this is Top Seeds, Rebecca Brady. She's won the 40 North competition and making these seeds. She just opened a new facility in Buffalo. Yeah, and she actually works with Journey's End and has a lot of lovely women who are working with her in her factory.
And I like how she put women owned.
It is, yeah.
Kind of like give the women the empowerment that they,
absolutely
they need. So it's gonna also impact and inspire the young women growing up. So shout out to you.
They're watching. You
guys are watching. All right. So last but not least, we got some.
Oh yeah, effervescent skincare. This is from my girl Rose.
Wait,
balm.
Is this made out of cardboard?
It sure is. It is eco-friendly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everything. I used to have the plastic ones.
Yeah, no. You're never feel bad about using that.
Man, I'm sorry, girl, but I appreciate it. What?
It's amazing, right?
This
It
is
just pops right
crazy.
up, and then it goes right back into the earth.
Wow, I've never seen this. So I'm the first one to have this in my family, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've never seen nobody in my family having a cardboard lip balm.
Yeah, and we got to be responsible with our world, right?
Definitely, we gotta be responsible. It's a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
Thank
You can
so
find
much.
that at Little Salmon as well. My girl Tracy runs that.
Okay, shout out to you, Tracy.
Yep.
Thank you. I just wanna applaud everybody, and I wanna applaud you, for bringing it. Thank you so much. I'm grateful for it. It means a lot. It means a lot. And so you ready to start? Just having a conversation. Yeah. So let's start. So I want to talk about basically from the start. Where are you from?
My ancestors are from Vietnam. I'm actually the first one born in America from my family. My dad was a helicopter pilot for the South Vietnamese Air Force.
Really?
So, yeah. So the fall of Saigon, they had to flee in 1975, and with my 1-year-old sister, and I was the first one born in America.
Wow. And being born in America, being the first one, like, how did that make you feel when they told you that?
A lot of pressure to do well here, right? You come for the American dream, and my parents basically taught me the hustle and the grind, and to always just do your best. And we came here for a reason. We wanted to make it worth our while,
And coming from, I know you mentioned they came here, and you was born here.
Yeah.
So like going to school and everything, can you tell us a little? Because I know, the parents from not just America, but like from like all the other countries,
We're
besides
built
America,
different.
Built
We're built
different. Like
100%.
parents are gonna be on you for like school, this and
There's
that.
everything. You got to look for your legacy. What are you going to leave behind? How are you going to make your ancestors proud?
Exactly.
And so truly, English is my second language. I learned Vietnamese first because my parents are like, we don't forget where we're from. And so people don't think that often, right? They look at me and they're like, you don't expect. I do, as best as I can living here. Buffalo didn't have a huge Vietnamese community, so we basically had ourselves. When we got here, we had no one else. My dad actually worked for General Motors in Michigan when the plant closed. That's how we ended up being in Tonawanda, which a Vietnamese family in Tonawanda, New York. People are like, what is this all about?
There's actually a General Motor here in Buffalo.
Yeah, that's where.
Vulcan.
Yep, that's where my dad started out, and
Okay.
That's where he had his career there.
Also, that closed out.
So it was then moved and bought by American Axle. So they switched gears, but that plant is still there.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice. That's amazing. And also, like when you go to school and whatever grades you brought at home,
Yeah.
what was it like?
There's a high expectation, And actually, school was kind of hard for me. My parents didn't know any better. I have a November birthday, so I started kindergarten at the age of 4. It was hard, so I was behind, right? And they were like, "What is the deal? Like, why are you not performing as well as your sister, who moved on to go to an Ivy League school and is a lawyer?"
Okay, nice.
The expectations are you're going to achieve these things, right? So school was hard for me, and that was, I think, a challenge for my parents to deal with, because they're like, this is not how this should be going.
This is not how it should be
No,
going.
no.
right?
But I turned that around, and I realized that my struggles as a student I could use to be a teacher. So that's why I became a teacher. And it's interesting, just seeing my students who do struggle, I can recognize those because I know what that's like and I can relate. And I do my best to make sure I help them. I give them tips on how to make things a little bit easier.
And what's the grade levels that you teach?
So I teach 3rd grade. I have one class all day long, and I teach them everything.
So they know you so much. You're like their mother at
Yes.
school.
Oh, yeah, they call me mom sometimes, and I'm their school mom. Yeah.
School mom.
So, and the thing with my students is we're family, and I have I've been teaching for over 20 years, and I have students who are probably your age, and I still keep tabs on them, and I always tell them that I'm like, you're gonna be a part of my life as much as you want. I will be here to support you and cheer you along, help you if you need. I got invited to my first wedding last year.
From your student.
A student. Mm-hmm. They're starting to teach with me now. I have a couple that are in my school district. So it's truly a family thing. And that's what I'm all about: love, family, and taking care of each other and looking out for each other.
Don't you think like time really flies so much? Like every time we leave, like in a moment, it's like you blink once, somebody graduated. You blink twice, they're right next to you, working beside you, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
So you can't really take every moment for granted. Like you just have to leave every moment.
Yep. And not even understanding the impact that you make on my students, especially. They come back and they tell me things that they remember from when they were 9 years old, and they're 20 some odd years old now. And you never realize how much of an impact you make, but you do. You know, within coaching or teaching, like that's the kind of stuff that I really love to know and be able to share with the next generation. And showing them the good, the bad, and the ugly of what life is like.
Exactly.
I always tell them, I was like, I'm going to teach you the third grade curriculum, but I'm going to teach you life skills that are going to help you along the way in any scenario and situation, no matter what you do with your life.
That's it. So besides just teaching, like when you was growing up, what did your parents want you to become? Like what career path
There was
did they
definitely
want you to follow?
the Asian stereotype of, doctors and lawyers are like top level. This is what you want, right? And so my sister worked really hard to achieve that and is successful and has turned her passion and mission of helping. She actually started a nonprofit that helps first generational students.
Okay.
Because she experienced that, right? She was at Cornell, Ivy League school. She wanted to be a lawyer. Everybody else all around her had connections because their family had gone to school there and they had this legacy.
Yeah.
She didn't have that, right? My
Right.
parents didn't have the connections that her friends did. So she realized that in order to help and support first generation students, she wanted to be able to provide that for them and connect them with people because she's in that industry and she's able to do that for them. Because
Right.
they don't have that. And that's something a lot of people don't understand unless you
Exactly.
experience it, right? People take for
Exactly.
granted that their families have been here for years and you don't have that. You have to establish yourself, which is, I think, why we work so hard to create that. Because if we don't, who will?
You just made a really great point because I went to Canisius, and Canisius is a PWI school, so like a lot of those students that come in, they have connections already. Their parents know someone that have a good job that they promise, okay, when your kid graduates,
I got you. Yeah.
I got you. So there's a lot of students that I went to school together that I can say as soon as they graduated, there was a job waiting for them. So now they're just working, a good job. They didn't have to go through all that phase of like
Right.
doing 3, 4, 5 internships
Right.
and so on, because they only had that one internship to do.
That's all you needed.
And that was about it. And you made a great point because then it gives us the ability to try and work 10 times harder. And I really respect our parents because me too, just coming from Africa and so on, my parents really kind of push us to be different, to understand, okay, you know where you come from.
Right.
We're in a different country. We don't know nobody. We
Right.
out here.
We're setting our own path.
Exactly.
And you got to work hard to do that, right?
Exactly. We started off with like a minimum wage job. So in our job, we don't even know who's the boss. We don't even see them. Like,
And that's my struggle as a parent because
Right.
I know what that was like because growing up, we didn't have anything. My parents worked their butt off. They saved every penny for us to set up for our future. And now it's that generational wealth, right? You want to be able to pass that along. My kids do not have that struggle because my parents paved the way for them and I've finished that. And it's great because I want them to have that, but I also want them to understand the importance of work ethic and that they have to be able to achieve, not just
Right.
waiting for somebody else to do it. you know?
Exactly. It's the work ethic. I preach this to my little siblings every time. I'm like, don't ever depend on waiting for someone to do something for you. I understand there is going to be people that's going to support you in life.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what do you want for yourself?
Right.
Because when you, like I said, I always say, when you blink once, something changes, So you're going to blink
Absolutely.
once, something going to change.
Yeah. And there's ways that you can always look to improve things and how you have that open perspective of what that
Exactly,
is.
exactly. So let's talk about basically your parents pushing you and so on. So then when you chose a path to become a teacher, what was their
It
reaction
was
to
really interesting. And so my cousins always say that my parents are progressive, right? We came here, not a lot of Vietnamese people living here. I married a white man, created some biracial children. Growing up in Tonawanda, Amherst was tricky in the 90s. It was not very diverse. And so experience that was a little bit different. I think my parents have really opened their hearts and their minds to being in America and becoming a part of this society that they saw with me being in education, how hard teaching was and the impact that I made. And I think in their head, doctors and lawyers are here. They didn't really know much about teaching. When they saw my interactions with students, when they saw my students' families talk about the impact I've made, they were like, oh, this is a really respectable job. And we've always considered teachers to be important, but being able to see their own daughter do those things, I think it really made a difference for them. And I think my parents are really proud of what I've created.
I mean, it has to make a difference because where we come from, teachers are ranked as lawyers or doctors.
Right,
Like,
and I was just having this conversation with my younger colleagues today of the shift, and this is when I sound like an old lady, the shift of what I've seen in the over 20 years that I've been teaching. Growing up, if my parents went to a conference and my teacher said something, they believed that.
They believed
that
it.
was it, right? Like, now I'm telling somebody something and I'm getting questioned and I'm not respected, and they seem to think that they know better than me, as opposed to, I'm a part of the team with you. I'm here to help and support your child. It's not us versus you type of thing. We're together. And I think something has happened. It's what it feels like sometimes, right? I was like, no, man, we're supposed to be linking up and supporting your child together. And I think somewhere along the way that message has been changed, but like, teachers are here for the kids.
But do you think like a lot of teachers do value, do really take that time to sit down with the kids if they're having like bad behavior and kind of like school them, like tell them nicely, like, okay, you understand this is the wrong things that you're doing? Because I feel like some parents tend to act like that because some teachers don't really take that time to talk to that kid, and that kid continue the same repeated behavior.
And just like everything, I think in any occupation, everybody has different styles, right? My style is I'm real with everybody, and what you see is a class of kids that listen and respect me because I treat them with that same love and respect. And so I work really hard with them. I teach them all the things I know. And when we get that done, we also have fun. You know what I mean? So they buy into me because they know that I'm buying into them. And so it's that mutual respect. And I tend to vibe pretty well with my kids because of that. It's a relationship that I don't take for granted, and it's something I work really hard on. And I actually tend to prefer working with kids that come from tough backgrounds and things like that, because I take the time to get to know them and understand where they're coming from. And I think, depending on your experiences, if you don't know what that's like to have a hard life, you can't relate to that.
Right, and I respect that because I had actually DJ P Nasty. He's also a teacher.
Awesome. Yep.
He's also a teacher, and he said the same exact thing that you're saying, that he tend to focus more on the kids that have a really tough backgrounds, because then it helps him understand, okay, how can he manage helping them out with their behaviors and so on, because the kids that come from a good family and so on, that's easy. That's light work, like he don't got to do too much. But the kids that come from those tough backgrounds, he helps them out. And then at the end of the day, like you said, you have kids, your students inviting you to their weddings and so on. He have students inviting him to their weddings to DJ, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
The same.
Mine goes all the way back from when they're 8, though. Like, his is still fresh, whatever. You got to dig deep when you really care about somebody when you're 8 and they make that much of an impact. No matter what, at any age, it's a soul satisfying thing. And that's truly one of the perks that I really love about my
from
job.
8 years old and they still remember you.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I'm not going to lie. Shout out to all my teachers. I forgot some of their names. Some of the names, because I never went back to visit.
Right.
I never went back to visit.
There's always one. I was just telling somebody about, teachers, coaches too, because, sports are big in our world. I think it kind of goes hand in hand, right? It's all about teamwork, unity, leadership.
Right.
All of those skills that I learned from soccer and sports, I relay that into my classroom. I have them sit in teams. Nice. And I'm like, you may not love the person that you sit next to right now, but you're going to have to work with them. And that's a life thing anywhere. Simple. I talk about group projects. You got to learn some coping mechanisms. And how are you going to survive this? How are you going to make this a success? Those kinds of things. So just a lot of real life things that I talk about with my students.
No, so besides that also, do you kind of teach them few things about life in terms of finances and so on? Because
every math lesson, so I will bring my business into it, right? Because I'm an example for them, right? I'm a role model.
Right.
I tell them about everything that I do, and they complain I couldn't do my homework. They're like, I was too busy. I was like, you want to hear busy? Let me tick her down my list. And so they know about my business. And so I talk a lot about how I make a profit. And to do that, I turn it into a math problem. So I'll throw up like, I bought this many items, I have to sell this. How much did I make on this part of it? How am I going to help sustain my business? How much should I save? So just a lot of real world life problems. When we have math problems, I often come up with their future and they giggle, but I name their children and talk to them about like, hey, if you don't pay attention right now, how are you going to teach your kids? You know, if you want to maintain this reading level, how are you going to help them when they're in fifth grade? You won't be able to.
I wish I had a math teacher that was into business, like that had like their own business outside of school.
Yeah.
Because all my math teachers, all they taught is what was in the book.
Right. How's that going to help you in life?
Exactly.
I talk about it all the time. I'm like, you're going to need this. You'll be in Wegmans. You will only have $20 and you will have 2 crying children with you. You better figure out if you have enough money, because if you have to go back, it's going to be an issue.
Exactly. And I feel like that's an important thing that you're doing. And those kids, man, take those lessons. If you're gonna, if your teacher's gonna show you guys this in class, you better take those lessons, because trust me, once inflation hits, like
It's a real thing.
Like it's a real thing. You have to know how to manage your money at some point. And
saving their money. And just that financial literacy is something that I feel we need to do a better job of.
They don't do that in school. They don't do that in school. That's why I can speak. I can speak based on like some of my peoples, you know. So like financial literacy is not taught so much to the black students. So when they grow up, they see all these people with flashy things and so on.
Yep.
But without having the financial literacy mind, it's like they start spending money to kind of match up the energy.
Right.
And then they end up, not having anything at all.
Right.
But if they're taught financial literacy, a lot of those kids might be owning houses, like in the West Side, East Side.
Be smart with your money, and you can utilize it. And if nobody teaches you that, then you're not going to have it.
Exactly. So that's why I try to tell my little siblings every time, everything I go through, starting from when I started making bad decisions with my money and stuff like that. I would tell my little siblings, I've been through that. Trust me.
Everything's a lesson. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. You're still young, so take my advice.
Right.
But yeah,
it's up to them to listen.
Up to them to listen. Up to them to listen. So if they don't want to listen,
right. Or if they know they can go to you to ask you for that, right? Because, hey, you've been through this. How do I do this? How do I manage this?
Exactly.
Creating a safe space.
That's it. Yeah, and also you just mentioned safe space. Because let's talk a little more about your teaching style and so on. How do you kind of like create a safe space for your students to come to you and ask you a few questions about whatever they want to know about?
And again, that's my experience as a struggling student that I can recognize in kids. So right off the bat, I show them it's okay to make mistakes. We celebrate those things. So in my class openly, I will go through a problem, say it's math or whatever. Okay, did anybody get that one wrong? People will raise their hands. They share it. They wait to see how you're going to react. If anybody's laughing at you, it's not a safe space. They're not going to do that again. But if I thank them for it, because they've now taught somebody else how to right that wrong and how to make sure it doesn't happen again, that's what it's about. It's really, truly about learning from the mistakes that you make. And I think for so long, so many people have been taught when you make a mistake, it's embarrassing. And it's something that should be looked down on. Whereas I turn it into a teachable moment of, hey, I'm really glad that you shared that part of it, because that helped this person who did not have the courage to raise their hand to share that. So I applaud you. And throughout the year, you will see kids who may have been quieter, who wouldn't share that. They do by the end of the year, and they're better for it.
That's it. I mean, that's good. That's good when you create that safe space. And with a lot of things that's going on, you sometimes you will meet some of the kids who are more sensitive than the others. So you kind of like have to have that safe space that gives everybody the same type of energy where they're able to share without feeling any type of way. So
and they're always watching, right? So especially at the beginning of the year when they don't know you, all you can do is show you who they are. You know, and then that makes everything better.
Yeah, that's good. Shout out to you, teacher. Yeah. Teachers, man, we gotta appreciate our teachers, because you never know. Our teachers are our parents at home. That's one thing my parents used to say. I was never a best student, but it's something that they would say to us before we even go to school. Like, remember, if I'm not there, your teacher is your parent at home. Because back in my country, it's like when you go to school, the teacher can whoop you.
Yeah.
The teacher can do anything. Whoop you, discipline you, tell you sit down right there, you're on timeout.
Yeah.
You know, and you wouldn't really do nothing about it. You go tell your parent, like you said,
Right.
they're not gonna believe you. They're gonna believe the teacher.
Right.
So when your teacher is taking that time to actually give you that safe space and
It's
so
the
on.
one occupation that is the origin and the roots of every single human being.
Right.
Everybody's got a teacher, right? Like, so I take that, it's a great responsibility. And so it's an honor to be able to do it and make an impact for so many kids.
Definitely. I just want to ask you the last question before we go into part 2, but what's the most enjoyable thing about just teaching in general, if you was to, let's say like 5 things that you enjoy about teaching?
I mean, definitely when you see somebody struggling and you keep working hard, you keep practicing, you keep showing up and you teach them those things. And by the end of, like, say, a unit or the end of a school year, you see that they've actually succeeded, that joy, knowing that they worked so hard and that you were right there with them all along. There's nothing better than that feeling of success with that, right? I love seeing my kids grow in their reading ability. When they first come in, I got a lot of kids who can't sit still and read for 5 minutes. Right?
Really?
It's crazy because I have like glorified second graders, and I know what I need to get them to by the end of the year.
Right.
And so that reading stamina, the importance of that in a lot of them, sadly, if they aren't read to when they're younger, they haven't found that joy in reading. And that's something that I really have. And so be able to share books with them, authors, teaching them really hard topics through books and teaching them how to love reading, that's definitely one of my favorite things. By the end of the year, I have to like beg them to stop reading because we have to move on to something else.
Move on to something.
And that's when you know they've really clicked and you've created a lifelong reader and a learner. And that, knowing that you've done that is another great feeling.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to you. Keep doing what you're doing. You know, guys, stay tuned for part 2. We're about to go into part 2. This is part 1. Thank you so much. And I forgot to actually read this, so before we even go into part 2. Thanks for having me, and keep spreading the good word. I appreciate you, Dotty.
True story.
Yeah. Thank you. We outside. Let's go.